All right, so we have again, as usual, these guys are blowing up, so they're probably gonna be on my radar for a while. By the way, let me keep saying I respect these two guys, because anytime you can come out of nowhere and people start paying attention, attention is everything. Okay, it's the currency of business, currency of any kind of message you're trying to put out into the world. And if they can get attention, I mean, they're almost 400,000 subscribers right now. Kudos to them. Shout out to them for doing the work they're doing. However, I stay with my point. Myron has a lot to learn. To me, it feels like Fresh is more so a guy who is learning as he's going, which is a lot smart, a lot wiser than the smartest guy in the room. Okay, so I want you to think deeper about that, right? The smartest in the room is probably the guy who knows how to read a book, memorize everything, and knows them back to back, every fact, statistics. That's Myron, no questions asked, right? But this guy listens a lot more Fresh, and when you listen a lot more, the people that listen a lot more tend to have a lot more wisdom, because they're processing before they talk, right? They're not just talking from what they know, they're processing before they talk. So of course, this is one of their favorite topics. This is one of the reasons why they will never ever marry again. Both of them, by the way, says they will never ever marry again. I am a married man. I've been married for 14 years in August, and coming up August. And I'm happily married. I'm glad I'm married. My marriage was never ever perfect, but I like it exactly like that. And I'll tell you why, okay? Why I like it like that. I believe that the growth of a man is inside of the relationships he's finding himself. Keep in mind, I said finding himself. It's not exactly necessarily creating relationships. Contrary to popular belief, we find ourselves in relationships. Why? Not because we're not making decisions like adults. It's just because that's what human beings do. Relationship, we're social beings. We have to be in some kind of business transaction, relationship, some kind of coexisting with other human beings. That's just how it works. Okay, we don't get to decide we don't want to do that. We can change the structure in how much we do that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be exposed to relationships. And when you're exposed to relationships, there's consequences for that, both good and bad. We don't get to avoid it. So what is your job as a man, especially as a man in this society? You learn how to manage relationships, starting by learning how to nurture relationships. See, it can come off very natural to women to nurture relationship, but for men, everything is cutthroat, because we call ourselves alphas and masculines, and we are in denial that there is such a thing as toxic masculinity. Yes, there is. Anything that's ever been created in this world, or that exists in this world, does have a toxic version of it. The same thing with feministic movements, right? There is toxic feminism. There is, okay? What does that mean? When it becomes toxic in a relationship, that's toxic, okay? The rest of it, figure it out. If you have specific questions, ask them and I'll answer them. But there's toxic version of all of the above, and even water. Okay, so let's not deceive ourselves. But let me play some of these videos, and then I'll look at the comments, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Guys, man,
I got off scot-free. Thank the
if
Lord.
there's anything you guys can learn from this broadcast, it's
Nope.
to marriage,
Nope.
to cohabitation,
Nope.
and nope to marriage one more time. Because
Nope to marriage, nope to cohabitations, and what is it they said again? Basically, nope to let me see, there was a third one.
Nope.
to cohabitation,
Nope.
and nope to marriage one more time. Because
No to marriage, no to cohabitation, no to marriage one more time. And that's supposed to help you prevent all the calamities and the catastrophes that comes with marriage. Well, marriage is not the problem by itself. Okay, I've got news flash for all of you young gentlemen out there. Some of them are older than myself. I'm 41. Many of them are 51, who are living in sexless marriages, or in a position where they don't feel like they have a say in their relationship, and because they think the solution to it is to avoid relationships by way of avoiding marriage. And see, when you do that, it's like running away from your own shadow. Like every time you look, there you are again, right? That's deceiving yourself. Basically, the problem you have with a marriage is the problem you have with how you handle relationships. Is the problem you have with, first, the relationship with yourself. Okay? Because if you have a good relationship with yourself, what happens is that you naturally attract better relationships with other human beings, including women, in the form of a marriage. So now, there's nothing wrong with avoiding marriage if that's what it was always been. But if you're doing that because you think you will avoid the negative sides of marriage, case in point, a $3.5 million expenses per year for, what is it for? For spousal support, right? What do you call it? Alimony, something like that. Right? You think you're gonna avoid that by avoiding marriage? You're deceiving yourself. That money, if that money was the true consequences of marriage, you will attract it with the other types of relationships you create. Because again, you don't get to decide if you create relationships or not. You're a human. So for example, I know for a fact, based on what we're watching right now, that Myron is in a relationship with Fresh, right? They have some kind of business relationship, quote unquote personal relationships, because again, there's no way you do an intimate business relationship where you're doing a show every day with people and you don't find yourself in an intimate position with them. You are in an intimate position with them, meaning they can hurt your feelings. The fact that they can hurt your feelings, they're in a position to cut deep into your heart and hurt your feelings by, like, let's say tomorrow Fresh decide not to show up to work and he said, nah, fuck Myron, I'm not coming back to work again, right? He's a piece of crap, right? Will that not hurt his feelings? Yes, it will. So if the way he handles marriage is how he handles a relationship with Fresh, it's gonna show up. It's like a shadow. It will continue to show up. And that's the point I'm making here today. Okay. So gentlemen, young men and old men alike, all of them, and young ladies, a lot of young ladies think they can avoid marriage and avoid life. No, you will miss out on the beauty of life. That's what's going to happen, because you will still create relationships. And when you create this relationship knowingly or unknowingly, you're going to bring that toxic vibe, the toxic vibe that says when you create relationships, it's always negative. You just think it's marriage, but this is your outlook on life. Let's be honest. It's just your outlook generally on life. You will create that, and what happens is that you will hurt yourself in the process. Okay? Where I'm from, we say in your life, which means our relationships, people are the clothing, your covering. Okay? You don't cover yourself. Your coverings come from other people. So if you don't learn how to nurture relationships and you blame it on the institution of marriage, it's gonna bite you in other ways, because again, you're trying to put this marriage thing into some kind of black and white box, and it's not. Why is it not? Well, on paper, marriage is black and white, but because it involves human beings, right? It's not black and white. It's just not. Okay? So how do you manage that? Oh, by learning how to manage the relationship with yourself first. You cannot do self-development without learning how to manage relationship with self. And the relationship with self is precisely how you're going to attract relationship. It's precisely what dictates what kind of relationship you attract with others. All right. So this person says, when it comes to marriage, use the Nike slogan and do the opposite. Just don't do it. See, that's stupid. Marriage doesn't exist by itself without people. It's the people you get to blame for the results of marriage that we have. Simple as that. Enjoy your peace, prosperity, and freedom. All right. If it was that simple, no one would be getting married in the first place, right? Because what's the point? There is something that people are looking for in a marriage or romantic relationship, like he said, cohabitating with other people. It's called connection. It's a basic human need. It's one of the 6 basic human needs. You have connection, you have growth, you have contribution, you have varieties, you have certainty, right? And you have one more, right? You could Google that. I think Tony Robbins preaches that a lot. There are 6 basic human needs. One of them is connection. Some other people call that love, right? But you need to connect with other human beings, or if you can't do that, you just won't feel complete fulfillment as a human being, as a normal human being. Okay, so there is no such thing as peace, prosperity, freedom without relationships. Okay, and for the most part, it's even better to do in a marriage. Just my personal opinion. But the key thing is, the problem here is not avoiding marriage. It's avoiding marriage because you're trying to avoid the negatives that come with marriage, which is direct result of the people in the marriage and not marriage by itself. I want you to think deep about that. This is how I personally roll. I work, live, and even really date. All right, so this is a person, this is all cap. You should learn how to recognize cap when you're reading them, all right? But all on my terms. There's nothing you do on your terms in the true sense of it. On your terms only when you learn how to manage relationships, starting with relationship with yourself. Nothing else, okay? This is a black and white way of looking at life, and it always fails at one point or the other. It has nothing to do with money, by the way, okay? Because money doesn't give you peace of mind. Money multiplies what you already have. I am on my way to a good deal of prosperity. Oh, you're on your way. You're not there yet. Okay, there you go. What will I do with the money? I will go up to orbit and float in space. I knew it. This is just a person floating through life. Maybe after experiencing some kind of pain. Who knows? I don't know. Some kind of experience, okay? Not necessarily pain. Respectfully experience. That's not necessarily enjoyable. All right. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this goes down to relationship with yourself. You're trying to avoid marriage because you think you can avoid all the negatives that come with marriage. That's like avoiding your shadow. It will work against you and everything you want.